So I guess I now own a PowerMac. I actually have a PowerMac. I have no words. Handle, this is not a JPEG. I have a handle. Okay, guys, this is not a drill. This is PowerPC power. We're witnessing greatness right here. Obviously, it's a PowerMac because we have the one optical drive. As nice as the Intel version is with the second optical drive, I gotta say the single slot here makes it look even more futuristic. This was initially released in 2003, but I cannot believe it's actually been that long since it was released. This still looks like a brand new Mac, and the clean aluminum, this is actually clean as well because I cleaned it. I'll have some footage of me cleaning the exterior of this machine because it wasn't actually terrible, but it also wasn't, the cleanest. It looked like it was sitting for, I don't know, years maybe until I got it. I haven't actually really done anything with the interior in terms of cleaning or anything. I actually got this for a really good deal, and I didn't know if it worked or not. Now, considering I didn't have any other PowerMac, this is the first one I have. Getting an untested one, that's a little iffy, but considering I work with machines like this a lot, I already knew what I was getting into. So when I plugged it in and I turned it on, it actually turned on. The fans spun up, and it didn't actually go crazy because it does have the plastic piece inside that controls the way the air flows. But I didn't have any RAM for this machine, and I still need to get an internal hard drive for this guy. I eventually did get some RAM, and it chimes. It actually works. So I got really lucky with this machine. It's as if I just got it from the Apple Store. It just works. The machine has been cleaned up from the outside, and it looks a million times better. I can actually, handle the machine without having to wash my hands every single second. And, well, the inside is it still needs to be cleaned up. We have a working PowerMac. I still can't believe it. But this is exciting. Now, you may have noticed it's a little bit wobbly. It's a little shaky, but I don't care. I have a PowerMac. So apart from the bottom part here, there is some cosmetic damage on this guy, but it really isn't anything major because the front of the machine still looks amazing. The side panel really doesn't have any damage at all. It does have some minor scuffs and marks around the machine. I tried my best to clean them up, and some of them did clean up well. It is a 20-year-old machine at this point, so I really can't ask for too much. It's obviously not brand new. It obviously isn't complete in box. Okay, check this out. This is actually ridiculous. How cool is that? I just did this, to see if it would actually work, and, well, it works. So if you wanted to know how wide a PowerMac is, it's almost as wide as this iPad 2 here. So from this angle, it looks like a brand new PowerMac. Down here, it's a different story, but like I said, the cosmetics aren't really that big of a deal to me because, well, it works, and the rest of the machine still looks really nice. It cleaned up really well, and fortunately, the way it's been used, or probably lack of usage, it's also not really dusty. Sure, there is still, dirt and debris that builds up over time, but the cheese grater front is pretty much in brand new condition. That front panel there looks awesome, and what's even cooler is that this looks like the same power button on my PowerBook G4. So, this is my first proper desktop Macintosh, and even though I do have the Mac Mini, I'm not counting that because, well, it's a Mac Mini. It's in its own class of computers. What better way to start off the collection here with a PowerMac? Obviously, PowerPC power here. I'm sure I could do other things with an Intel machine, but it's a PowerMac. This has got to be one of my favorite designs of a desktop. And even though the new Mac Pro, is similar to this, I still think that this looks way more futuristic. So we have to open up the latch here, carefully take off the door, and there is the G5. And as you can probably tell by the faceplate here, This is actually a dual processor, and it's not liquid cooled, fortunately, because, well, the liquid cooled versions of this will basically just self-destruct. If the cooler itself leaks, it'll just, destroy everything. So this is air cooled. I do have the plastic piece. I still can't believe I actually have this machine. It's awesome. I believe we have the stock, whatever, I don't know, Radeon card. I still have to remember what's actually in this machine. But I do know that this has 512 megabytes of RAM because I had to get those separately. But it was definitely worth it because it works. And like I said, I haven't done any cleaning on the inside of the Mac, but it also isn't terrible considering its age. So it does still have a fine layer of dust, but the fans themselves, which also look really awesome, the 3-blade design here looks extremely futuristic for some reason, at least to me. They really aren't dusty at all. It's just like, it's just built up over time. So they just need a good cleaning, and it's good to go. We also have the optical drive up here. We have 2 drive bays here. And I actually do have, this is basically just what I did for testing. Basically to see how a full-sized hard drive fits into here. So as you can see, I actually did get a set of the screws. So these are the custom screws that go into the hard drive caddy there. And well, they're just fancy Apple screws, and they actually have holes here for where the screw can go. So you can actually put this back in. This is where I got those because the extra set was still in the machine, fortunately. So all I have to do is just put this back onto the hard drive, and then it just goes in there. But it is extremely easy and convenient for upgrading. It can obviously only hold 2, but still better than 1. This obviously means we need a Mac Pro in the future as well, but we're starting off with the one that introduced this design to the world, the PowerMac. I just can't get enough of these fans. I mean, isn't that awesome? Whenever these spin up, I don't know, they just make the machine feel more alive. Obviously, there are more standard fans in the back there, but the 3-blade design here, I don't know, it's just so cool. Not to mention the air baffle, which when it goes into place, you can still see the fans, doing their thing, but I don't know, it's just all so cool. Not to mention the gigantic G5 logos and those massive heat sinks. It's insane how much engineering went into this product to really maximize and optimize the airflow that goes into this guy. So we're just doing like a quick overview. Like I said, we have 512 megabytes of RAM. We already talked about the hard drives there, and there's the official factory optical drive because it has that amazing label there. I mean, who knew a label can be so Apple? And the machine did actually come with a PRAM battery, but I did take that out because, as you'd expect, it's dead. It doesn't hold a charge, so there's no point in keeping it. So I think we're going to save cleaning the interior for another time because that's going to take quite a bit of time. We also have room for expansion there with the PCIX slots there. I do already have one card in mind that can fill up that empty slot. And who knows what else we can add into this, but I think what we're going to do now for this beginning video, this probably beginning of a series, we're definitely going to look at this machine more in the future. We're going to do a lot of software and hardware upgrades and installs. Right now, to at least show you guys that this machine is indeed fully operational, we'll go ahead and set it up in the iTunes library setup. I do have an external hard drive with Sorbet Leopard. We'll just boot it off FireWire because FireWire is amazing, and well, everything with FireWire and Macs, they just work perfectly. So let's go ahead and close it up. And we're not going to do a real in-depth look at the back here, but I just wanted to let you guys know that yes, it is the factory card with ADC and DVI. And we have all of these wonderful connections on the back here. So let's go ahead, power it up, and just have some fun with it. So this is the setup as it is right now. That's the iTunes setup right there. I put another piece of plastic on the other side, and right now as it is, it's pretty much stable as it can be. It's honestly, if it wasn't for that part there, you can't even tell that it has any damage. So it's stable, and even though it's not 100% perfectly flat, I can still put something like an iPhone or anything on top of here, and it's not going to move around. So it works well in that aspect, and I have everything plugged in. So let's go ahead and power it up. So it powers up, but obviously we have the flashing question mark because, well, it doesn't have an internal hard drive. So we're actually using the Seagate hard drive that is currently the iTunes library because it also has a couple of macOS installs on there. And like I said, we'll be using Sorbet Leopard, at least for right now. I do also have macOS Tiger on that, but we're just going to be using Leopard. I need to power it up first. I might have to restart the Mac in order for it to detect it. So for the very first time, we have a PowerMac. So it'll say 10.5.9 because it's Sorbet Leopard, but we have dual 2 GHz PowerPC G5 processors and half a gigabyte of RAM. This would definitely be nice to upgrade someday in the future. Even with just half a gigabyte, it actually works surprisingly well. And I even went ahead and I ran Geekbench real quick, and we got a score of, an overall score of 1,792, which is, it sounds pretty good considering it's, it's a PowerPC Mac. So I guess, another thing we can test out is Quake. The speaker on this PowerMac actually sounds really nice, and even though it's not like the loudest or the clearest of built-in speakers, it's pretty impressive. So even just like, recording it with the iPhone here, you can still clearly hear the speaker in action. And yeah, I'm not the greatest at this game, but as you can see, it just works. Yeah, I'm pretty bad. So I guess you get the point, right? But I can sit here and play the game all day. It's awesome. This is an awesome machine. I can't wait for what we can actually do with this. And something that I really want to do is once I get an internal hard drive on this Mac, I will have multiple partitions for ideally all the way back to 10.2 Jaguar. I think that's the first version that was officially supported on the PowerMac architecture. So if we can have 10.2 all the way to 10.5.8 and maybe a separate partition just for this version, which is Sorbet Leopard, I don't think it's going to replace the black MacBook, which is actually right behind this monitor, because that still works really well for iTunes and newer support with iTunes. The version of iTunes on here is 10.6.3 if I remember correctly. And like I said, the speakers, or I guess the single speaker, it doesn't have stereo sound. It's still really loud. So obviously I can't play that because of copyright, but yeah, iTunes here. It's iTunes 10, yeah, 10.6.3. This would get me support all the way up to iOS 5, which honestly isn't terrible, considering I have a lot of iOS 5 and below devices, like the iPod Touch 2nd generation here. This only goes up to iOS 4, so older devices like that would be excellent on this machine. But I also have a bunch of newer devices that obviously support iOS 6, iOS 7, so this would definitely be a good candidate for an iTunes library. but we got to get an operating system officially installed on this, because as amazing as FireWire is, this is the boot drive. So yeah, we can't have this permanently installed with just a FireWire drive, even though it's honestly not noticeable, like in terms of speed. Have I said that FireWire is an amazing standard? I guess everyone wants to go USB-C nowadays, which, for a compatibility standpoint makes sense, but, well, look at me, I prefer using the PowerMac here. I think that's going to wrap up today's video. Like I said, we're not doing an in-depth look on this machine, but we did give the exterior a good wipe down. It works. That's the most important thing. I'm just glad it works. It still looks amazing to this day. I have lots of upgrades and additional things we can add into this machine planned, but I'm extremely excited. I can't wait to see what else we can do with this system. Even with the hard drive here running through FireWire, it doesn't feel slow at all. So at least for now, I'm probably just going to stick with a larger, higher capacity hard drive. Honestly, the PowerMac and early macOS is just so optimized. It just works. If we take a look at the system memory here, we still have 176 megabytes of free storage here that isn't even being used. So this RAM here, it's a very efficient system. In terms of power, probably not so much, but it also doubles as a space heater. It's an awesome machine. Lots of content is coming up on this system, but I'm just glad to finally show you this. So hopefully you enjoyed today's video. Hopefully you found it fun and interesting. I know I did, because, well, I just can't wait to use this machine more. But we got to do some further upgrades. We got to do some cleaning, and it's not 100% there yet, but I'm just glad we have it up and running. So if you want to see more content just like this, then consider subscribing, because we've got more PowerMac content on the way. But that's going to be it for now. And as always, thank you very much for watching.